getting drunk, smoking up, and motorcycles. And that was pretty much my life. I can do whatever I want because I'm a Christian. Literally, there was zero remorse in my life. Then the trajectory of my life changed so drastically. As a kid, I just was a thrill seeker. I just wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to have authority over me. And so I got in some trouble. I remember in high school sitting down with the principal, and he's not the first time that he's sitting down with me. And why are you always in my office? Why are you always here? Why do you, he said, like to live on the edge? And I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, there's a better view. I didn't want to be subordinate to anyone, you know. I wanted to be an independent person and make my own decisions in life. I went to church, I went to youth group, I did all of those things. I was part of the Christian school at the time from kindergarten through 12th grade, and so I certainly identified as a Christian. In the theology of it, it was that, you know, you're part of the chosen and you're predestined and you're saved. You're going to be in heaven. And that demonstrated itself in my life that I can do whatever I want, you know, to a point, because I'm part of this group and it's fine. I'm a Christian. My rebellious streak grew with more opportunities presented to itself. And so I got my license, you know, at 16, couldn't wait for that moment. And within a month, me and a couple of my friends got busted I was drunk driving. Literally, there was zero remorse in my life. I should have done something else. I had to go to this alcohol diversion thing for youth kids. And at that thing, I'm planning another party. Like, let's have a kegger at this guy's place. I wanted to feed flesh and do what I wanted to do because I was looking out for number one. My life consisted of getting drunk, smoking up, and motorcycles, and that was pretty much my life. During this whole period, I had lots of girlfriends, but there was this waitress I met named Charity, and she was gorgeous, and she had this fantastic sense of humor, and so I asked her out. One date led to two, led to three, led to about 9 months of dating. And she says, well, I don't just want to date recreationally. If we're going to move forward and get married, then you need to get baptized and become a Mormon. And I said, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I don't really want to be a part of that. And that frankness didn't go over too well. This was kind of a light bulb moment, in a sense, that the lifestyle I'm living, I know it's not sustainable. I'm not going to be some 40-year-old guy that's just trying to get high and sleep with girls and hang out at bars. I don't want that for me. The next day, I was test riding a motorcycle, and this car was coming towards me in the turn lane, and it was a young guy, 16, had just gotten his license, I think, that week, and he turned right into me, and I hit the passenger door, and I flew over top of the car, but I didn't see it coming. I never hit the brakes one time. It just happened like that. I'm on the ground. I'm on my hands and knees, and I know my left leg is pretty messed up. I think it was broken in like 4 different places. You're in shock, and your adrenaline's going, and the next thing you know, the medics are there. I'm getting morphine, and then I'm at the hospital. The trajectory of my life changed so drastically. The book of Hebrews says in Hebrews 11:6 that the Lord is the rewarder of those who diligently seek him. And I, at that moment, was a diligent seeker. And I said, I want to know what truth is. And he put me in a spot, like, in his grace. You don't have any distractions. You're not working. Your friends ain't hanging out with the gimpy guy. And so for the next 3 months or so that I was out of work, all I did was read and study and read and study. I understood pretty quickly in that 3-month period that Mormonism wasn't true for sure. But what about my own faith? What about what I have been taught? Because maybe I was lied to as well. I went to a Barnes & Noble. I didn't want to go to a Christian bookstore to find out about Christianity because I knew it would have a bias. And I'm looking through this shelf, and I can still picture the book in my mind. And I know the author, C.S. Lewis. I read Narnia. I love Narnia. And so he's got this book in the religion section. I had no idea. I thought he just wrote Narnia. And the name of the book is Mere Christianity. And so my ignorance, I'm like, he must not think very much of Christianity. The book is just Mere Christianity. It's not that much. The Lord used it. I like to reason through, to understand things, to have it made plain to me. And when it comes to understanding the claims of Christianity and who Jesus is, nothing quite does that like Mere Christianity, in my opinion. You know, C.S. Lewis famously said Jesus was either a liar, a lunatic, or a Lord. And I've never considered that before. But when you do, there's only one logical conclusion to come to, that he is the Lord. And that's what had happened in my life. In this period of time, as I'm going through his word and marking up my Bible for the first time because I want to, because I understand it, I became a new creation, and the old man was gone and put to death. I wanted to build my life on what was true and something significant. And what I had been building my life on to that point was very insignificant and trite, and I knew it wasn't sustainable, that it wouldn't last. Truth should last. We're still dating Charity, right? Our conversations became about, you got to get right with Jesus. And she would want to tell me about her day. And I'm like, there's just so much more important stuff. I know you want to tell me about this, but you're going to hell. Our relationship couldn't withstand that type of turbulence for very long. And so she said, I don't need this kind of negativity in my life. The Lord spoke to me, and I won't say it was audible, but it might as well have been for me. And he said, you're trying to convert Charity. You're trying to change her heart. I'm like, yes, Lord, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. You see my efforts. You see where my heart is, what I want to do. And he just stopped me and he said, Ted, you will never be able to change another person's heart. I'm the only one that can do it. So at that moment, I'd hit my knees, and I spent the rest of the evening just crying out to God, literally crying out to God and in prayer, like, Lord, you have to save her. You have to save her. You have to save her, Lord. And the next day, Charity calls me and says, I know Mormonism isn't true. What should I do? And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I should have tried this praying thing a lot sooner. In that process, the Lord was working in her life as well to bring her to understand who he was, her desperate need for Jesus. We got engaged on the front steps of the church because I said, this is what you're marrying. My life is going to be about serving God. And so she did. She said yes, and we got married a few months later. We were visiting a church, and it was a Calvary Chapel, and I had never heard the word taught verse by verse. That's what so transformed my life, was verse by verse teaching, hearing God's word, explaining how it fits my life and what that means. And so I'm content here. at this point in this place, and I don't know what that means with this calling on my life that I feel like I have to serve him, but this is where I need to be to grow. I was content to be a gatekeeper of the house. I'll do whatever. I don't care. And if that meant, even the most minuscule task, if it's for the Lord, I want to do it. Then it was like, well, why don't you come on staff? Why don't you run the junior high ministry? And so that's kind of how I got on staff at a church. And now I am blessed to be a senior pastor at a Calvary chapel here in the Northwest. Jesus is the revolutionary. He has laid hold of me for this very purpose that he came in the first place. It's to save sinners. It's to reach the lost. And that's the revolution that changed the world, right? We get to be on board with what he's doing. And it's the greatest life you could ever live. You have to trust him with everything and every part of your life, because everything else is so trivial if you're not truly desperate for Jesus. You have to figure out what your end is, who you want to be, and there's only one way to do that. It's to abide in him. It's to trust in him, give him your life, and live for him.